Welcome back, guys. Mr. Thomas here. Hopefully you guys have finished the last part of the project, getting your background all painted or drawn on or whatever it is. Today we are going to look to see how we actually record a couple of data points. Okay, in order to record your data points, you are going to need your iPad from school. And we are actually going to record on iMovie because iMovie has a function that we all need to be able to use. This is a chance for you guys to learn a little bit about photography also, if you want. So when you go on to iMovie, my daughters have made a bunch, I've made a few videos here. So click on a new movie. When you do that, we don't want any previously shot video. Now you can see me on my phone in the background, but we should have a blank screen here. And on the right hand side, there's that, or the left hand side, sorry, there's the camera. When you click on the camera, it like brings the camera shot up. And then the important thing is this right here, right underneath the video. See where it says 1080p and 30 FPS? That 30 FPS stands for frames per second. And what I want you guys to do is click on that, and it allows you to change it to either 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second. So what that does, a video is really just taking pictures. When it's 30 frames per second, that means it takes 30 pictures within 1 second and then puts those pictures back to back, and that's how it creates a video. The problem with 30 frames per second is that we aren't going to be able to see the ball frequently enough in order to get an accurate shot of it. So if we switch it to 60 or even 120 frames per second, the video quality you can see went down to 720, but we'll be able to see the ball more often as it bounces. So we want to switch it to 120 frames per second. Okay, now that we have the video all set up, I'm going to set my iPad up pretty far away from the background. I'm doing this outside. You can see that on the screen of the iPad I have it so I can see the whole background. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to record it. So after I hit record, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to drop the ball like just a little bit higher than your background. When you do that, I'm just going to try to let it go. It might take a few tries to get it right, but what you need is for the ball to bounce multiple times in front of the background. If it bounces away like that, you might have to adjust your setting a little bit because you don't want it to bounce away. You want it to bounce right in front of it. See, that was a good one. Once you have it like that, then you should be able to go back and see exactly how high it bounces. So what I would like for you guys to do for this part of the project is to just get 3 or 4 or 5 good trials of the ball bouncing in front of the screen. Here is what 2 good trials should look like. Okay, one more thing before I go. I had mentioned that we could do some photography stuff on this today too. So if you guys want to get a little fancier, instead of recording with your iPad, if you'd like to download this app called Pro Movie right here, there we go, right there. It has some really cool functions on it that I'm going to show you right now. Unfortunately, downloading it on the iPad isn't as useful because the function of it is not all that great on the iPad, but it's really awesome on your iPhone. So if you were to buy it and you open it up, the camera, it looks like there's a lot going on here. First of all, if you notice over here on the side, we still can do 120 frames per second with this video. We have a few other things I want to share with you. The shutter down here at the bottom and the ISO. The shutter is really the shutter speed. So what that means is when you're taking a picture, it like opens and closes really quick. The faster that your camera opens and closes, the more crisp and clear your single frame shot is going to be. But the other thing that happens when you have a very, very fast shutter speed, so when I click on this, I can change the shutter speed over here. The fastest shutter speed that this gives me on this phone is like really high, like 8,000. So what happens though is the faster it takes that picture, the darker the picture is, because it doesn't have enough time to get light in it. That's where the ISO comes in on this. The ISO allows you to change the brightness. So as you look at this, when I change the ISO, oops, I put my finger in the camera. It's gonna get really dark on one end, and then almost too bright on the other end. So if you play around it, you'll see it gets real dark, and then real bright. So you want to change that. Now, if we change the shutter speed to slower, then it gets like so bright you can't even see what's happening. So you can play around with these, and if you want, what I would recommend is doing a really high ISO and a really fast shutter speed. If you do those things together, when you take your video, you get a really crisp, clear shot of the ball as it's bouncing.